The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting is called to order for Thursday, June 9th, 2016. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, if you could please take the roll.
Commissioner Dorman? Commissioner Sacco?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Powers is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Sianis?
Here.
Commissioner Zangara, I'm here, and Chairman Rafato.
Here. Brooke, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Citizen concerns and comments at this time. If anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on items other than what's on items for review can come forward now. Okay, great, thank you. We have no consent items. Items for review, docket number 2016-9, continued from May 26, 2016, hearing MedTech Healthcare, 43 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval for adult day service. Ms. Jones?
I would invite the petitioner to come forward.
Good evening.
Hi there.
Chairman, members of the board.
I assume you were not here.
I was
last
not
night.
here I've just been retained. Ms. Jones and I have had a
Okay,
number of
so
correspondence.
this is a public hearing, so could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Kolpak with offices at 6767 North Milwaukee and Niles. I represent the petitioner, Mr. and Mrs. Kim, in this matter. Let me put the case.
Well, if you can detail, there were a number of items that were reviewed at the last time. If you go over those through the plans, that'd be helpful.
Some of the things that were at the last meeting, from my understanding, was some confusion as to service of food on the premises. We have submitted plans for a warming kitchen at this site. The food would be processed off the premises, brought in, warmed up at the kitchen, and I believe that plan has been submitted and reviewed by staff, and I believe that's in compliance. The other concern was the fact of lighting. We have submitted a lighting plan, which again, I believe is in compliance with the code, and we are certainly willing to, I believe it's been approved by staff. Is that correct?
Staff does not
Well,
approve it.
Certainly given us, no one has disapproved of it. We've submitted the plan. We're willing to go forward with it. If there's anything other that we need, we're happy to do that. Okay? Regarding the parking, we do not have any buses or anything else, but we do require the use of a van. The way my clients who are certainly, they're licensed by the state of Illinois for senior daycare center. What they need to have is the ability to pick up the seniors if the families don't drop them off, and then take them back home. The hours of operation are between 8 and 2 o'clock. We would agree to park the vans in the rear of the property so they wouldn't be visible from the roadway. The bicycle parking, bicycle racks, we understood that there were 2 racks needed. We have space for 8. I have my architect with me tonight, Mr. Kong. If there's any specific questions, he certainly would be able to answer them. We've agreed for the landscape plan. We've submitted the landscape plan for approval. We would agree to have the irrigation compliant with your code. And I think that's really touching the basis of everything that was brought up at the last meeting as concerns.
Thank you. We'll start with, excuse me, Commissioner Sianis.
Well, I think you've answered a lot of the questions we had. I think one of the outstanding items was regarding the awnings and whether or not they were going to be replaced.
We talked about that, and we certainly would look into replacing those awnings on the building. We'd like some time to put that in because my client is expending a great deal of money to put this into compliance. But I'm sure we could get it done before the end of the season, if that was a continue.
Is that something we could put a condition on?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. They'll be replaced, we'll give them a time frame. We'll time box it.
Other than that, I don't have any other questions, so.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. Let's see, the awning thing was taken care of. Mallory and Brooke, there was question about the the two sites being one. How did that turn out?
Yes, the petitioner has added the kitchen to the plan, and so now they plan on serving food in this building only. The other building will be used separately. It is currently approved as a use that is different than this. They have some restrictions on its use, including occupancy, food service, and some other restrictions. So it will, these two sites will function independently, and we don't anticipate that there will be clients walking between the buildings, which is something that was brought up at the
Right.
last meeting.
Okay, thank you. The number of vans that we're talking about?
Looking at two.
Two. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorban?
Thank you. Well, in number 4, it does say the staff has commented on the existing landscaping looking tired, and the lawn is is in really poor condition. The whole area looks in poor condition. Although you have you've given us a landscape plan, I personally think it needs to be beefed up even more. I think that it's really in bad shape. I think a lot could be done with it, but I think I'd like to see you go one step further. That's one big thing. Let me go back to some of my other notes here. You talked about the awnings already, and we talked about how many, I would like to make it a condition that the vans are parked in the back,
Yes.
and a condition, I would like to set a limit on how long we're going to allow them before they have to replace the awnings. So that would have, I would hope that the chairman would take a poll on that. But what about bicycle parking?
We have a bicycle parking in the rear of the building
Okay.
for 8 spaces.
See, I think there was some other questions, but I have to go back and look, hold on. I think those were the main ones, but I was a little disappointed. I expected, a little more landscaping because it's, it is a very prominent area there. It's going to be, I would hope it be better improved.
We'll take your comments.
That's all, thank you.
Commissioner Isaki?
Thank you. Most of my questions were answered. I'm just curious on the plan, which room is being converted into the kitchen? Because I don't think it's on there now.
The architect can answer, but it's the room to the rear of the property. We're going to take the entire width of there. There's an interior non-bearing wall that we will.
Oh, forgive me, okay. All right,
That we will knock down and make that the warming kitchen.
got it. Thank you. That was all for me.
Commissioner Zangaro?
Thank you. Thank you. With regards to the landscaping in the front, I just wanted to touch base. I would kind of like to see, since now you have the warming kitchen in there and you are attempting to put all this landscaping in, I was thinking of maybe putting either some benches or tables and chairs out there. I mean, you're gonna have a nice area. I mean, I think that would be a nice feature for the people that are
I
there.
can certainly discuss that with my clients, and you're right, it would be a nice amenity for seniors to be able to do that. But
And
I'll
then
ask that.
I saw the new, there's a note here, it says new signage. Will that come separate with landscaping? Will that be something separate?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Signage.
They're calling out of something here, it says new signage, but there's no landscaping around or anything. Will that be coming to us separately?
Right, if they're proposing to add a sign to that sign base, they should return and propose a landscape plan that meets the sign code.
Okay.
It's my understanding we'll be submitting our plans within the next 10 days. We just are working on those.
And then the only other suggestion I would have is, can we go to the photo that shows the entrance? That entrance. The two handicap stalls. I would really suggest to put car bumpers, wheel bumpers there so they don't run into
That
the
makes
sign,
sense.
or move the signs back to the grassy area. I mean, those would be my suggestions to you. Otherwise, I think you've answered all the questions, so I appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
So, okay, so a couple of things. One, I agree with Commissioner Dorban that the landscaping needs to be beefed up here. Looking at the landscape plan, and Brooke, can you please bring that up? So this landscaping here is everything that is there now, okay, because it's really overgrown and tired. Is that all being pulled out?
Mr. Kong, I'd like to introduce my architect, Mr. S.K. Kong.
Sir, I'm not sure if you were at the last meeting. You weren't at the last meeting, correct?
Yes.
You were at the last, did you speak at the last meeting when we were here? You did?
I wasn't there, but I did not speak at all. It just,
He didn't
No. Okay, so could you please raise your hand? Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
yes.
Okay, great. So if you could step closer to the microphone so we could hear you, and if you could state your name and business address.
My name is Sang-Won Kang. My address is 1901 Raymond Drive, suite number 13, Northbrook, Illinois.
Okay, great, thank you. So my question is, the landscape there now, is that all being torn out?
Yes.
Some going to be saved? What is, it's just not, I just want to make sure that is not, anything is going to be left there for that.
So basically, the condition is not good, so I want to change all our grass area. So new grass area, plus basically the landscaping is, we got 3 different layers. The first layer is seasonal flowers. And then the second layer is, there is bushes, and then the third layer is trees. So all three layers is in the mulches. And then we're gonna develop the new grass area too.
So you are, if I recall correctly, I'm not certain if there was a picture in here, but some of the area, especially on the east side, you could see actually asphalt in the area that's grassy now. So is that all being pulled up?
Yes.
And new dirt, and
Yeah.
I think I heard that you're seeding that? Okay, so what I don't see, if this is all new, what I don't see, and I know you indicate that you will, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't know, do you? Irrigate, thank you. Irrigate, I don't see that on the plan unless I'm missing it. Looking at this plan here, do I see anything that even reads that it's going to be irrigated?
Excuse me, can I answer that? I think we have to irrigate it pursuant to your code,
Correct.
But
and we
it
will do
needs-
that.
I know.
And if you want detailed plans, we'll get them out to you.
we need to have detailed plans put there. So it's got to, I think we can get by with it saying on the plans that it's going to be irrigated.
I think we can also get by with a condition of approval, because that will be added to the condition of the special use ordinance, and certainly they won't be operational without that.
Okay, but here, the problem I see with that is, in some cases, when we have a plan that unfortunately, whoever inspects it doesn't have the conditions, and it's not on the plan. And if they're going out there with the plan, they don't see that that irrigation is designated.
I can speak to this because I personally review plans for irrigation when they have a special use ordinance. So I always ensure that they are irrigated,
Okay.
if that's included as a condition of approval.
All right. Then if you could bring up, the picture that was the side entrance, that one right there. So those three pylons, if you will, that are in the landscape area, I think we asked if there could be some flowers, something done around that, and I don't see anything on this plan, on the landscape plan for those areas right there.
Will you be putting flowers into the landscaping area where those pylons are?
I don't see
Not
anything
on
on
the
the
plan.
plan that shows anything there, and I think we had asked when we were here the last time. It's probably not in the minutes, thought we had talked about that,
Yes, foundation plans.
foundation plans, and I don't see them here on this plan.
So I have some plan in here.
Please. Can't do it?
No,
No.
Okay,
it's in a PowerPoint.
okay, thank you.
No, is this the same thing that you provided to me?
Oh, yeah,
This
we
is
have that.
exactly what's up here.
That's exactly what's up there.
Thank you.
But it doesn't show that existing wall, any plantings around that,
We're talking about this area right here,
right there, yes.
and in front of the windows, basically in front of the entire front
Right.
facade.
Is lacking. There was nothing there either, and we had specifically asked for that. Right.
So if we need any add more plants for a flower like that, we're gonna add that. We're gonna add the area about the plant some seasonal flower too.
We'll amend our,
Right, we want more than seasonal, we want year-round plantings.
we'll amend our landscaping plan and submit it to
Right,
Ms. Jones.
okay. Then, well, since you're going to be submitting a new plan, you might want to put on this plan that you're going to be irrigating this, okay? Then the double-sided bike rack, I think in our staff report, it said that one, that wasn't to code of what we were supposed to have. And then I believe, is that installed now, this bike rack? The bike rack in the parking?
Yes.
That's right there, but it's not to code.
I've been out to the site, and there was a bike rack installed down here next to where the trash enclosure area is. And yet, there is a bike rack shown on the plan up here in a very highly sought-after parking space. Worth noting is that the bike rack that was installed does not meet the
Right,
code.
notice the comments.
Okay.
And we'll put the bike rack to code.
Okay, but we should determine where that will be.
Yes.
Because the plan shows one location. I don't necessarily think that's the best location,
Right, I would agree.
but let's nail down an exact location. They can come back.
Yeah, so you need to determine where that's going to be, and then
Wait, do we determine it?
you determine, well,
We'll determine.
you would work with staff to determine where that's
Absolutely.
at.
And we'll put
Right.
it, it'll be in full compliance with your code.
Right, okay, great.
And parking's not an issue here as per the report.
Understood,
So we
but
could
that's-
take, no, I'm just saying, we could put it into a parking space.
Right, understood, but
That's
that's probably a prime spot.
Right. No, we'll find a place for it.
Okay, great, all right. Then, to your plan, to your floor plan, you have one, which is labeled A2-1, which shows the existing plan. And then you have an overlay on A2-1. Different diagram. So this one just shows the manager's office. And then the next slide just shows NIC. Is that, what is
Not
that?
included.
Not included. Oh, I thought it was NICKEY, Nicky Mouse or something. No. So, not included. Okay, that's a new one for me. So what I personally would like to see is a plan such as, if you can go to the previous one, Brooke, previous slide, I'm sorry, that one right there. A proposed floor plan that shows the kitchen where it is and what it's going to actually be. We can't, this doesn't properly depict what needs to be there. So you have a plan that right now will show, right where that manager's office is, a kitchen there, and everything to the specifications in the next slide that shows NIC. That plan should be, the plan should be correct. This is not, this really isn't a, excuse me, this really isn't a correct plan. You know, you're showing two different slides. You're showing a full floor plan with no kitchen in it. And then you have another plan with just the kitchen. I don't understand why that would have been done that way. So we need to see a plan that shows the complete floor plan, not just in two pieces.
Okay, the first slide,
Yes?
that is exact our current conditions, no
Yes.
change at all.
Understood.
Yeah, and then the second slide is we want to change the manager office to warm kitchen.
Right.
That's it. So
So we would have been okay if you would have showed the first slide and then the second slide with this exact same depiction, but instead of the manager's office, having the kitchen in there. This doesn't show the proper plan. One slide with just the kitchen. Why not, I'm sorry, not the kitchen, with the completed floor plan with the kitchen in place. Am I saying that correctly? Right?
so no,
Because you have a quizzical look on your face, so I just want to make sure.
I know, I'm asking you.
Right, yeah, okay.
I could get confused easily.
Yeah.
so, that is our previous plans. I
Understand,
sent that. Yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
The second slide is,
our new
current
plan.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't show the whole current plan. It just shows the kitchen. Doesn't show the kitchen with the existing plan.
Yes.
okay.
Understood?
We'll revise
Yeah,
it.
Yeah. Correct.
We'll revise it.
okay, great. Hold on a second, let me just. Don't have any other notes. So, Brooke, can you go to the picture on the east side that shows the drive-through, on the front, I'm sorry, the front front east side, right there. So all of that, where that asphalt is, that's all going to be pulled up
Yes.
and it's going to be new dirt and seeded, irrigated. Okay, that's fine. I forgot to look when I was out there. You mentioned, on the landscape, you mentioned there's a light post there. I'm not sure what condition that is. I'm assuming, that you're keeping it there, the light pole. Could we make sure that that is, painted, you know, if it's in bad shape, if it's painted? Okay, great, so. All right. So with that, you have a number of changes to make. And, I will poll the board. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments? No? Okay. I will poll the board, but what I'd like to see is for those changes to be made and to come back to us. And Brooke, when do we have, when would the next?
Our next meeting is June 23rd. We would need the revised plans from you by no later than Wednesday of next week.
So that's landscape, that's the new
New floor plan?
floor plan, landscape with irrigation designated on here, and new plantings as we've desired, the location of the bike rack, okay? And then the floor plan, showing the complete floor plan with the kitchen there. Okay, great. Is everybody in agreement to move this to the next date to get those plans done?
I would be willing to wait till the next.
If you could bring your microphone down.
Sorry. I'm fine with moving it to the next meeting, but I think we need to also figure out the condition of how long we're going to agree that they postpone doing those awnings.
Oh, sure, yes, yes.
That's all.
And that's a good point. And we can decide that now. You said after the season, November 1st, would that be good? To replace the awnings?
End of November if it's possible?
Sure. And I'm okay with that. And if you're going with the existing color that's there,
The existing color, material, and design.
right, you will not have to come back before us. But if you decide to change the color or design, you're going to have to come back before us. You might, if you're going to be doing a sign in 2 months or so or something, and you want to change the actual awnings, could they probably throw it on there too?
Sure.
Sure. So that's an option. If, just think about it, but if you're going to be changing it, then there's no, you don't have to bring it back to us with the sign when you have that done. Okay? Good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they may also want to consider a sign as part of this updated landscaping thing, because if they're talking about irrigation and everything, they have to know what's going to be around that sign.
Very true. Very true. So, is there a picture?
We will be submitting also our proposed sign during that timeline.
Okay, but as Commissioner Johnson said, our sign code requires landscaping around that too. And if you're going to be irrigating that whole area, you might as well plan on irrigating that also. Okay, I would agree. Brooke, is there anything that you want to read that?
I can read.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
1, that the floor plan shall be updated to reflect the proposed layout, including the kitchen. 2, commercial vans owned by MedTech shall be parked at the rear of the property. 3, parking for 2 bicycles shall be provided and noted on the site plan. 4, the southeast corner of the building shall be posted as a fire lane. 5, the plantings shall be irrigated per code and noted on the landscape plan. 6, that the awnings shall be replaced by December 1st, 2016. If a different material, color, or design is proposed, the petitioner shall return to the Plan Commission for minor appearance approval. 7, foundation plantings showing year-round interests shall be added to the landscape plan. And 8, the light poles shall be painted.
And did you mention irrigation listed on there?
Yes.
Okay, you did that. What was the other thing? Oh, how about did you mention the floor plan?
Yes.
Okay, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Number 1.
Number one. Okay, great, thank you.
Can I
Sure.
mind sending that to me, Ms.
I
Jones?
will give you a copy before you leave.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank
Get
you.
a copy of that. So is it a motion to continue?
Yes.
Motion to continue to a date certain of June 23rd?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dorbin, second by Commissioner Zangara. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Dorbin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zangara, I vote yes. Commissioner Saku?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes?
Commissioner Sienas?
Yes.
Chairman Rafano?
Yes.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
She will print this out. Brooke will print out everything that was mentioned. Do I have to sign it?
No.
There you go. Thank you. Do I have to close, no, I don't close that yet, right?
No, it's continued.
Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Calling docket number 2016-14, Orange Crush, 571 Wheeling Road. Concept review of a zoning code text amendment, rezoning, zoning variations and a special use for an asphalt plant in the I-2 Limited Industrial District. Ms. Jones?
I have nothing at this time.
Great.
Just hand it straight over to me, huh?
That's right.
Yes.
This mouse work to go through?
Yes.
Can you just identify yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Tim Winter with Pell Group. I manage all the real estate for the asphalt company, and we'll be the owners of the property that operates the asphalt plant. Well,
Should be able to just click.
that's, which button do I click? Just the middle one, or?
The left one.
Left.
Okay, all right.
That's all right.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this in a workshop session prior to the formal application. The asphalt plant, sorry, I'm having trouble with this. There we go. The existing asphalt plant in the Village of Wheeling is located at 231 South Wheeling Road. It's been there for over 50 years. We have currently operated the plant there for the last 25 years. It is a outdated, inefficient plant that has many inefficiencies, include environmental, energy, and operational. Even with these inefficiencies, we have no known complaints or violations, and we meet all the requirements of the Village of Wheeling and IEPA with this. For about 10 years, we've been talking with village staff about relocating our facility within the Village of Wheeling to help with the redevelopment of the downtown Metro train station area. Within the last year, we have increased our conversations with staff to move this plant roughly a quarter mile south on Wheeling Road to 571 and 871 South Wheeling Road. It's a little bit larger than the existing. We go from about 3.5 to 7 acres. Attached is, or as shown, is a proposed preliminary layout. We tried to keep the operation of the plant in a similar fashion as our existing, with having the material aggregate on the east side of the property and the plant along the west side of the property near Wheeling Road. We are not going to move the asphalt silos any closer to the road than what our current operation has. Then we'll have the road material recycler at the south end of the property. As I said, there is some inefficiencies with the current operations because of the age, and a lot of it has to do with the requirements that IDOT has, with increased specifications. When the existing plant was installed, there was only a couple asphalt mix designs. Now there are well over a dozen mixed designs that we need to account for. Part of the inefficiencies is we don't have the storage for all the asphalt to make. So we can only have 2 silos right now. We can't store all the production that goes on. We have to make the asphalt at the time and load it directly in the truck. That means the truck is going to be sitting there for 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, while it's being loaded, and we have a longer queue sitting in the parking lot waiting for the trucks just idling. With the upgraded equipment, we will be able to have additional silos, 4 300-ton silos, with a possible expansion for 4 more silos. This will give us the opportunity to make the asphalt, store it in the silos, and be able to be ready for when the customers come to load the trucks up and get out of the property, to reduce the idling time of the trucks. And also, there's an opportunity, because we have that additional storage, that we'll be able to store it earlier in the morning and not have to have the plant operating all throughout the day during the construction day. The other inefficiency is we do not have a road material recycler at the current property. All of IDOT's specifications has recycled asphalt in the mixed design. Right now, we have to take the broken road material that's brought to us from the road construction projects to another facility, recycle that, get it down to the gradation that IDOT requires, and then we have to bring this recycled asphalt back to the property. And then this will be introduced either into the asphalt mix or be used as road base. That, just bringing that material off the property and back on average is about 30 truck trips a day. Sometimes in our peak time, it gets up to 50 trucks a day. So there's an efficiency of trying to reduce traffic with updated equipment. Along Wheeling Road, existing cross-use properties, there's some nice trees there. We want to maintain these trees as part of the screening. We know that there are some areas that do not have trees in the location. We're going to add additional trees to keep the screening. We're also going to have a 10-foot solid fence across the entire property line for screening and additional landscaping bushes and plants between the fence and the trees. Over the last couple months, as we started this process, we had a village board workshop session. Then we have also met with the park district and school district and had a neighborhood meeting to listen to the questions of the neighbors' governing bodies of their concerns about this property. It's kind of why we're here tonight. We want to get your questions. We might not have an answer tonight, but we want to be able to address it with the formal application that will come later this summer. Thank you.
Before I go to the commissioners, and I will, it's our normal protocol, you said you met with the school district, park district, and probably residents around. So I assume it was something informal that occurred.
It was an informal of the property owners in the industrial park right along Wheeling Road.
Were we aware of that at all? No.
We were aware that they were meeting. We did not know of the meeting itself. We were not
Okay.
invited.
So you have the word up there, questions. What were their concerns and questions? Because that were there.
It was a lot
Is it
of,
documented? Was that meeting documented?
we have our notes that we took.
Okay. So what came out of that meeting?
It was just more of what we're trying to get out tonight, just get the understanding of the neighbors and be able to address them as a public,
So
public hearing.
they apparently had questions.
Yeah, there was an unknown of a lot about an asphalt plant. There was concerns about trucks. There was concerns about the environmental issues of the property. What's it going to look like? Those were some of the concerns we've heard.
Okay, all right. We'll start with Commissioner Zangara.
Thank you. I thought I read somewhere, and I wasn't 100% sure, but I'll ask. I saw the recycler in the corner there. Wasn't there talking about using that street, the dead-end street for access with the trucks?
Hold on, let me try to get back to the site plan. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Down kind of where that says Rolf Campbell, that road?
Yes.
We do not plan to use that for our access. We plan to use all the entrances off Wheeling Road. That would, if the fire department wants us to keep that as an emergency access, we're fine with keeping that, but it would be gated off.
So then on this new site, how many trucks can you stage, how many trucks do you think you could stage in the site at one time?
We'll have to get that to you when we have our formal application, but we'll definitely address that.
Because what happens when the trucks, in the existing site, where do the trucks stage?
They stage on our existing property.
Okay.
When it gets busy, we create a couple rows coming up to the silos to make sure to get them off Wheeling Road.
So there's nowhere, well, I was going to say, there's nowhere off-site anywhere, do you just kind of phone them and say, slow down or something?
They come in, I mean,
Okay.
these drivers are pretty experienced with our property. They understand how it works. Ray is who operates, but am I misstating anything, Ray?
As far as staging,
Yeah.
if somebody else is going to speak, could you come up to the microphone? Just so, we've got our half a dozen people that watch this and they'd like to hear that.
This is Ray Pagnozzi. He operates the current plant there.
Yes, so the question was it stacking?
The state, yes.
Right. Staging.
They pull on property and get in line, soap down their trucks, and we load them. They leave.
Well, how long is the process, like, from the time they get in? I mean, an estimate?
Less than 3 minutes.
Okay. What else I have?
Well, before you go further,
Okay.
you have and I should have asked before I went to staff, before I went to the commission. You're asking for special use, text amendment, variation.
Rezoning.
Pardon?
Rezoning.
Rezoning. So before I ask another commissioner to speak, can you go into detail about all of those and what you're asking for?
Bernard Citron, I'm with the law firm of Thompson Coburn, and Tim has asked me to address those issues. Currently, I believe we're pre-existing legal nonconforming use in the village of Wheeling. Nowhere in your ordinance does it really allow for an asphalt plant. Nonetheless, this plant has been here for 50 years. I've learned a lot about asphalt since working with the PAL group on this and a few other projects, which is you have to have them because most of the streets in the village and nearby villages are asphalt. In fact, we supply asphalt to the village of Wheeling and most of the other municipalities around here for your road paving projects. Because of the nature of asphalt, you can't truck it in. You can't say that, well, you should put this out way far away, 25 miles away, so that it's not where the asphalt is needed. By the time it would get to the village or to the village of Northbrook or to any of the other surrounding suburbs, it would not be usable anymore. So you really need to locate these plants nearby where they're going to be. What we have right now is a need to keep the plant within this general location, but expand the number of acres of the plant so it would be more efficient. One of the reasons would be so that you don't have any trucks off-site, though we don't have that today, as Tim indicated, to make the plant more efficient, to be able to meet the current standards. And by the way, the village uses IDOT standards for much of their, so this need for different types of mixes are in fact the same standards that we meet for the village. But because there is no district currently in the village that has this as a permitted use, the first step that we have to ask for will be a text amendment that would allow an asphalt plant, including outdoor storage, as a special use within the village of Wheeling. We're not suggesting, and we would work with staff on this, and we have met with Ms. Jones and with Andrew Jennings on this. Well, I think we met with you. And with Andrew, is we don't want to suggest that this should be allowed as be an allowed use, a permitted use, because we agree there are issues, not issues, but there are impacts, potential impacts from an asphalt plant. just like any other industrial use. So you should be able to not just allow it, but look at those type of impacts and make sure that we meet and don't create any impacts. So the first step would be to ask for a text amendment for an asphalt plant as a special use in one of the appropriate districts, whether it's I-2 or I-3. We were suggesting the heaviest industrial district in the village, but there aren't a lot of those, if any, in the village. So that would be something that would be refined before we apply. So then it would follow to the next step, which we would actually at the same time apply for this special use. Now, everything starts with with the text amendment, but then it goes down to us applying for the special, well, I take that back, I missed one step. We have to ask to rezone this property to whatever the appropriate district is, whether it's I-2, I-3, I-4, we'll work with staff on what that would be. Now, this is an industrial area, so just in and of itself, that shouldn't be a problem. I believe your ordinance would say that if you don't believe our use is appropriate there, the special use standards, then the rezoning won't happen. Will all happen together. So it's not like you're going to rezone the property for a much more intensive district and allow other uses there. It would be assuming that this use is appropriate. So we'd be asking for the rezoning. The next part of that would be the actual special use, where we're looking at what are the potential impacts, traffic, noise, all those impacts that are part of your special use ordinance. It's very comprehensive. We would have to present to you with a team of witnesses. I guess I'm priming you for the future. There'll be a planner, a traffic engineer, an environmental consultant, a landscape architect, everybody there who will try to address all of those standards, that there is no traffic impact, that there is no noise, that there is no odor from this, which, by the way, there isn't. We've never had a complaint. In the 25 years we've been here, we don't have complaints. And this will only be better, but I guess I shouldn't preview what we present in the future. That will be for the hearing. So that's how we're going through it. Then there's a few other items that would be considered variations because of the height of the silos. Again, the efficiency in this new location will be not just the size, not just having more silos, but be able to put more in those silos. So that's what our request is. It does, when you just read it on a piece of paper, it looks like we're asking for a lot. But when you reduce it, what we're asking for is what's in front of you on the screen. That's what's needed to do what's in front of you on the screen so that we can keep on supplying Wheeling and the street in front of probably all your houses with asphalt when the village repaves it. And we've been working for 10 years. You know, there's been another hearing on this. Some of you were on the Plan Commission. I wasn't here then. There was another hearing on doing this that was unsuccessful, so we didn't go forward with it. We have finally been able to put together a site that works, that's more efficient, and will enable us to continue supplying asphalt to Wheeling and Buffalo Grove and Northbrook and all the neighboring municipalities, like I said, including Wheeling. But that's what the full extent of our request would be.
You also had, and you may have mentioned it, the green space rezoning?
Yeah, the site,
Still a variation.
it is variation, you're right. We'd have to ask for a variation on green space because basically you want the site to be paved. Anything that would be landscaping except for a long Wheeling road would probably not survive. And you want to be able to clean up the site every day to make sure and keep dust down and everything like that. So there's both it's all practical based, that variation. If you look at pretty much all the industrial sites, there's very little green space around them. So that's what that's based on. Now, having said that, well, I see your question. It depends on the industrial site.
I would disagree with that, but.
Okay, let me pull that back. I'm not that aware of it. I shouldn't have said that. It is really a practical situation to be able to utilize the site, to keep the site clean, to keep the dust down, to keep all that from happening. It works better to have a paved surface. The landscaping that we are putting in is along Wheeling Road, where it will supply more of a buffer along the property.
Thank you. So Commissioner Zangaro, based upon that, do you have any questions, any more questions? You continue on with your questioning.
I guess the one last question I'll hit right now is, you talked about the 4 85-foot tall gallons and then future. Would they have to come back to us again if they, or do they come to us once with 8 of them?
Your proposal is for 8, is that right?
Our proposal is for 4 initially and a possible expansion to 8. We would like to gain all the approval at this
Asking for the
time.
approval for all 8 at this time?
We're asking for the approval of all 8 at this time.
Okay. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Sianis.
So the property where the current operation is located, I assume your group will maintain ownership of that site?
Yes, and we'll work with the village for whoever is going to come in and try to redevelop the property.
Okay, because I imagine it's just going to be a big concrete pad just laying out in the middle of a...
Our existing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you move your operation to the other area, it's just going to be kind of a barren site.
Correct. Correct, and we would keep the fence up, as we wouldn't take everything down.
So I just foresee perhaps something being done out there as well. I mean...
I know.
And I may not have read this, or I may have skipped over it in my reading, but are you anticipating a higher amount of truck traffic to roll through the site with the increased efficiency?
No, we're not anticipating. The truck traffic goes up and down depending on the construction projects. There's only so many out there that come here, and it depends, goes ebbs and flows with what's all the municipalities and private developments are doing. The efficiency is going to be more of the product of the updated plant, and it's going to help the storage. It's going to be environmentally and energy more efficient. The only thing we see right now that's going to affect the truck traffic is the road material recycler, because we don't have to haul out the broken road material and bring in the recycled material that we do now.
Okay. What would be the hours of operation for the site? Would they be maintained at the same?
We would maintain exactly the same thing.
Okay. And then I sort of see stormwater management, it looks like the southeast corner of your site is dedicated to that, but.
That is an existing detention basin for the property at 581 South Wheeling Road. We would provide underground storage.
Underground?
Yes.
Okay. And with the size of the trucks I understand that they make underground storage that can withstand truck loads, but.
That would be part of the engineering design that they would have to make sure. I can't answer what it's going to be. I gotta let the engineers design it.
Okay, and just for my own curiosity, what mixed designs are you guys going to be producing at the plant?
Well, it's all asphalt mixed designs. There's different courses. You see the roads being done. After you see the stone down, there's a binder course and there's a surface course. There's many different specifications for those courses. I don't have all the knowledge on that. If you want more to say what we can, but it's just different mixed designs, what's included, what size rock, how much liquid asphalt, how much recycled asphalt. It's
a professional curiosity for me.
It's just a matter of what's putting it in.
I'd probably ask that again when you guys come back, so if you could have that ready, I'd appreciate it.
Not a problem.
To know what mixes you're going to have there.
I will make sure Ryan, who's with our team right tonight, will have that for next time.
Okay. That's all I have.
Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. You're asking for 8 silos, and is there an issue, I guess this is more for staff and the attorney, is there an issue with the height of these?
They would need a variation because the maximum allowed height of an accessory structure is 20 feet.
And they are asking for 40, correct?
85 feet.
85, okay, I'm sorry, misread that. Okay, so.
It's a 31% increase from their current 65.
Okay, when we think in terms of that height compared to what we want to do with our town center, how is that visually going to impact it, or is it going to impact it? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I
I'm
think
sorry.
the town center, the residential building with the parking deck wrapped around, it's 5 or 6 stories, to give you a comparison. That was the largest structure on that site.
So the back side of the parking structure would pretty much camouflage this 85-foot silos, yes?
I don't know, I haven't seen
85 feet is,
a rendering that would
that's
show
it's like
the
8
perspective.
stories.
85 feet is 8.5 stories.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
8 stories.
exactly.
So, I
Right.
mean, we're talking.
I'm not sure about the elevation, if the ground is higher here.
So I'm
or-
having a little trouble with that piece of
Sure.
it.
Can I ask a quick question?
And the other piece of it is the green space, where our requirement is 25%, and they're only allowing 9% of green space, so I have a little issue with that. I was here for the last time when you came through. And are you going to be bringing this, what you take off the road, are you going to be bringing it in and regrinding it and sending it back out as the plan was before? And it's a two-part question. What's different from the plan that you brought to us earlier, a couple years ago or whatever it was, to now?
Let me make sure I understand the first question. You want to know is if we're bringing in existing roads that are being redone into the
Right.
property, and as you said, grind it up.
Right.
And then do it. Yes, that's the recycle facility. So the road, let's just say Dundee's being redone out here, what they would do is they would have a machine or many different types of equipment to bring it in. It would be in big chunks. They'd put it into the trucks, bring it to the facility. They'd put it through the recycler, which gets it down to a small-sized rock that could
Right.
go back into the asphalt mix. So yes, we will be doing that.
Okay, the last time when you came through, if I remember correctly, you had long hours. So I want to specifically hear from you what hours you are talking about,
We would keep the same hours we have now.
which are? Because the last time you talked like 24 hours and.
No, we
And
were
the
never
noi-
gonna do
and the
24
noise
hours.
was amazing, and the noise is awful. So, I mean, how is this going to impact?
We would not ask for 24 hours. You
Okay.
can't build roads at 24
Okay.
hours. With the noise, we are planning to do a study, an acoustical study, to talk about what the noise is, what the effect's going to have on the neighbors, make sure it meets the ordinance of both the Village of Wheeling and EPA.
Okay? And the other
I think
question.
he's going to
I
answer.
think he was going
Oh,
to
I'm
tell you
sorry.
what the hours
Our
are.
hours are 6 to 6.
6 to 6, okay. The last piece is you said you met with some of the neighbors. I don't know about how everybody else feels, but I sure would like to hear from some of those neighbors.
I'm sure we'll be at the public
I
hearing.
don't-
And that's part of the
You know,
public
I
hearing.
mean,
Sure they'll
I'm sure they'll be at the public
Have they
hearing.
all been notified? That would be my question.
They'll be notified for the public hearing per our code requirements. I don't know, how many did you notify specific amounts already, or?
I mean, how did you go, if you met with them, how did you notify them?
We had a neighborhood meeting at the Park District building right next door. We sent notification to all the property owners and told them that you're invited to come to an informal meeting about this proposed equipment upgrade and relocation. It was 2 hours from the hours of 4 to 6, thinking that's when a lot of businesses are closing. They come right when they're done with work.
I'm kind of disappointed we didn't know about that, because I certainly would have attended that. I would have liked to have heard what they said. So that's my only questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Isaku.
Thank you. Not to beat a dead horse, but a lot of the questions that I have, I think, would have been potentially answered by, if there were notes from these meetings. So at the very least, I'd like to request also that if you mentioned that you guys did take notes at the meetings, if that's something that we can be provided at the very least,
We could provide
that would be helpful, just to kind of get a sense of what kind of questions and concerns folks had. Again, a lot of the things we went over. I have a question for staff. I think I read in the report that the suggested zoning, the preferred zoning was I3 as opposed to I2. Is that correct?
There is no preference from staff at this point. We
Okay.
need to do some further analysis. I just wanted to make it clear that there are options, either I3 or I4 may be appropriate.
Okay. And forgive me for my ignorance, I know very little about asphalt or asphalt plants. So I'm just curious, looking at the layout the way it is, my concern obviously was right away was the silos and the height and all those things, typical I'm sure, but I'm just not sure why why is the layout this way? Why are the silos, why do they have to be on the western side? If you could speak to that, just to help me understand the way it's laid out and the way the operation works a little bit.
The main reason for the silos are closer to Wheeling Road is for truck traffic, internal circulation. We want to keep all the trucks that are coming in there getting loaded with asphalt away from our operations, away from our machines that are loading the asphalt plant with the aggregate, away from the equipment, the loaders that are going to recycle the material. Just if all that operation stays to the west side, there's basically a long line right down the center. That's kind of where all the mixing happens, where it's all loaded. If we could keep our operations to the east of that, and all the trucks that are getting loaded with asphalt to the west of that, it keeps them away, and it's a safety reason.
So describe, Commissioner Sacco is bringing up a good point. You've got a pointer on your mouse there. Describe how a truck would come in, show us, and then you've got the materials on the east side. So I would assume that there's traffic that moves the materials. I mean, you've got whatever machines that moves the materials. So describe that, and also describe how a truck would come in to get additional asphalt.
Okay, for the trucks to bring in the aggregate that we need for the material.
Okay.
They would probably come in this driveway here. We would want them to come straight across and go behind the aggregate bins to keep them away from our operations with our high lift. They would come here, I lost my, they would, depending on what aggregate type it is, they would unload the aggregate and then drive back out and get back onto Wheeling Road. To get the asphalt plant full of the different aggregates that are required, there would be a high lift. It's a construction piece of equipment, holds a lot of aggregate. They would pick it up on the west side of all the bins and then bring it into, this is the recycle bins that where we put the recycled asphalt into, and this is the virgin aggregates that we would put all the material into. So they would be basically running back and forth between these bins and these, just loading up as required, depending on what kind of asphalt mix we're making. For the trucks that are coming in to load up with asphalt, they would be coming in the entrance. They would be going directly underneath the silo. They'll be talking to whoever's in our control room, which would be on top of the office building, right there, specifying how many tons they want, what mix they want. We would load it would drop right down the truck, and then they would drive off, get a ticket, then it'd be out the property at the drive entrance to the north.
Okay, so you missed your mouse. I missed your mouse movement.
I'm sorry, I was very bad.
They come in here.
So, yes.
Right?
Right there.
Okay. And then what happens? Where does the truck go?
The truck will go directly underneath the silos.
These right here?
Yes, right where the mouse is. It'll go underneath there.
Okay. So, I'm sorry,
Take it away.
so the 85 feet includes underneath the silos, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they go underneath there, they get loaded up, and then they go out one of these two
Correct.
exits. Okay.
Correct.
Not stopping at the office or anything for a cup of coffee or something or anything?
They might stop to go use the restroom. We'll have a restroom in there. But there will be a pneumatic tube that we'll be able to bring the ticket down to them for they have their ticket.
Okay. Is that done by, so that's done by weight or something? If they say they need 2 tons?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes, it would all be delivered by tons.
And then they go out? Okay,
Correct.
thank you. So continue on, sir.
That is very helpful, thank you.
No problem.
Another kind of general question, you mentioned, we've heard about environmental impacts, and those were some of the concerns I think you mentioned some people might have had. Could you speak to the way you mitigate any of those environmental impacts? And could you speak to those, or what types of things, how the environment is impacted potentially?
I can't get in great detail. I would need one of our environmental consultants.
Understood.
to bring today, but the asphalt plan is governed by the IEPA. They have a set of regulations. We have to have a permit from them, and we have to meet those requirements. We do get tested. At times you'll see, not so much right now, especially with the heat we're having tomorrow, but early in the spring or later in the fall, you'll see white smoke coming out. That's just steam. And we get that tested to make sure nothing else other than steam is coming out. That is tested, I believe, once a year. I'm not 100% positive. I'd have to check. So that's how we're governed. Right now, we have a 60-year-old or 50-year-old plant. We're planning on putting in a new plant. There's obviously just better technology to clean things up. That's basically the nutshell of it.
Yeah. That's it for now. I look forward to learning more about asphalt. So thank you.
I guess, is there a book, Asphalt for Dummies, or something that we can read?
Probably.
Probably. So, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. You talk about like doubling the efficiency, yet the silos are like 6 times the capacity of what you have now. What's actually in those? Is each one a different mix?
Yes, each silo will hold a different type of asphalt mix.
So you can only do initially 4 different ones
Correct.
in advance?
And that's with all the additional mix designs, and we can't service everything that way. We don't know if we need more. We want to be prepared if we need the additional. We don't want to go spend extra cost if it's not going to be used. So we need to see what the demand is and how it's going to work.
Now, you mentioned earlier, someone did, about the travel time of asphalt and that being usable. Are these silos like heated to keep it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There's, I believe it's hot oil coils wrapped around all the silos, and then it's insulated.
Okay.
So I believe it's kept to 350, 375 degrees in there.
Okay. Other than the height of the silos being an issue for me, I see no other problems. Thank you.
So I have a couple of questions. The site that, if this does occur, are you going to dismantle the existing site? Get rid of the silos, everything that is there?
Yes, we will take down the asphalt plant.
Okay, you're going to take down the asphalt plant. You might want to talk about, if this is going to happen, probably new fencing for the existing site when you move out, because that's in pretty bad shape.
We will look into that.
One of the, as I'm looking at this picture right now where you have the recycler, you've got a pile of concrete and a pile of asphalt. One second, I can't.
Correct.
And then, hold on one second, let me just bring this up. Broken concrete, broken asphalt, and behind the recycler, is that detention? I think?
That's an existing detention pond.
Okay, that's
That
what I thought
was
you
done for when 581 was.
Okay, so you said you're going to do noise studies on that?
Yes.
Okay, and does that have to run during your current, does that run all the time? So I'd like to see what you think are going to be hours of that thing running all the time. And then also, I'd like to know how big those piles are going to be. One, I assume they better not be over 10 feet tall, because that's the fence size. Fence height, does that require a variation, 10 feet?
Yes.
For
I think
what?
so.
The fence?
Yeah, does that require?
Yes.
There's another variation. Because, and then, of course, what the materials are going to be. But I'd like to know what you think, though, the height of those are going to be. And why do you have those piles there if you bring it in and take it right out? Or was that the wrong assumption?
In our existing facility, the material is brought in and then it's loaded out because we can't recycle at the existing facility.
Right.
So now with this plan, we would be able to recycle at this facility. So they would be staying there depending on what the need is for road base or that needs to be put into the asphalt mix. So there's different products we would be making with the recycler based on the road material. And so it's a matter of what we're using at that time and what the demand is.
Okay, so in the typical day of a piece of concrete that's not being used, you bring it in and you put it in this pile?
Yes.
And then you wait, it's determined what type of mix is going to be needed for a new road?
Correct. Because after the material, I'm sorry, I didn't.
And then you recycle it, or are you recycling it and then putting it into the pile?
It will come in, the broken road material will come and go in those piles.
Okay,
We will recycle what is needed for the design. The recycled material will most likely go up into those bins that are on the east side of the property. And whenever one level goes low, that's when
Yeah.
we'll start mixing around, determine what we need to recycle.
so you don't take anything out of that pile until it needs to be recycled, goes through the recycler? and-
Correct. Well, we got to control the piles too.
Okay, so I'd like to know, we need to control that because I'm not certain what's going to happen there. And then you don't mention anything about the back, the east side of this property that faces the train, as far as fencing, landscaping, what's going on back there?
Right now, we're trying to work with ComEd to have easement on their property, which is currently there for the old main steel building, and try to expand that for truck traffic to keep them away from where our machines are that are loading the aggregate. And we need to have further conversations with ComEd to see what we're allowed to do on their property.
Okay, so we need to know that too, because one of the,
It's on the list.
one of the things that, as we now have a Metra train station, a Metra train that comes through 5-6 times a day, I want to see some plans there for the back as to how that's going to be looking. It needs something that's going to pretty that up. I mean, an asphalt plant is an asphalt plant, so we need to make it look as good as possible from the back also. So consider that like Wheeling Road, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Okay. Then I guess you said for truck traffic, so if I would like to see in the plans coming when you come before us, how you would stack trucks within this piece of property. Because you mentioned to Commissioner Zangari, even in your existing plant, you don't have trucks on the road. So how are you, what's the stacking? What would the stacking look like? Stacking
Yeah, we can
zones?
provide a plan to show.
Right, because, a Starbucks would provide stacking, how that would look, that's what we're looking for, okay?
Yes, sir.
Great. Then, what I don't see on this plan, as I was thinking about this, is you've got an office. How many employees are in the office?
We will have probably one person in the office.
Okay.
Is kind of monitoring what's going on. The other employees we'll have someone in the control room who's kind of determining what mix we're designing, loading out into the asphalt silos. We'll have someone on the machine that's loading the asphalt plant. We're a very minimal operation. I need to further investigate exactly how many employees, but
Okay,
it's
because
roughly
I
half
don't
dozen.
see any parking plans.
It's along
for
the
them.
north edge of the properties where we showed it. Get the
Okay.
cars away from our operations.
Okay, great. So we need to make sure that, we probably don't have parking requirements for asphalt plants?
No, it would probably be determined based on the operations and
Okay,
granted by the Plan Commission, their permission.
okay, so it's not, so we don't have anything specific there. And then a comment, my comment about the trees. You are adding these trees that in your landscape plan, that's your 9%?
I believe the 9% is all mostly along the
Okay.
Wheeling Road. There's probably somewhere the existing detention basin is.
So I know we have standards for landscaping, what the caliper can be for those trees, our minimum site. I would like you to investigate increasing the caliper of those. So we're not having just these small trees that will take years and years and years to cover those silos.
Nope.
And granted, I think you probably might have some, another thing to talk to ComEd about, or whomever is there, you probably have some overhead wires there.
I believe there are overhead wires on that side.
Right, so I would like you to look into that, increasing the caliper, so we get something much larger there in the beginning to help shield that. And then, of course, the standard things, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it, what the construction of the fencing is going to be. And why do you need 3 entrances on this property?
It's all the existing driveways. We're just maintaining existing driveways.
Do you need them all? You can increase your greenery by shutting one down.
We will investigate that.
Suggested. I was just thinking of that because you have that opportunity there. I'm not really enamored where the silos are going to be. I'm not enamored with the height of the silos, but I think I do understand why they're there. I was also, I think Commissioner Dorban and I were the only ones that were on the Plan Commission when they came before us on Hints Road.
No, I was there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations, good.
That's when I almost left.
That's when you almost left, okay, great. One of the items that some of the neighbors brought up was not so much, well, some of the residential area brought up the smell because you're close to residential area. And the other thing was, the other item that was brought up, if I'm not mistaken, was the particulates that are emitted, because if I'm not mistaken, there were some precision tool making companies around there, and they were concerned with having to increase their air handlers to,
I remember.
yeah, okay.
We
So-
will, I have an environmental consultant who will be able to address all those issues.
Okay, great. 'Cause as Commissioner Dorban brought that up, I remember that was another reason that, that there was some concern with the, that wasn't a concern of the residents, but it was a concern for some of the manufacturers that were in the area.
I remember.
And of course, when you come back for us, I would really like to ensure that you've got the issues with ComEd taken care of the right away. I was not aware of that. And then also, back area, what we want, and to look into decreasing the number of, actually you have 4. I just noticed that. Is the, oh, you said the last, the entrance, what looks like an entrance on the south side is not used?
No, we would probably, at this point, just keep a gate there just in case of emergency access.
Okay. Increase your greenery, just remember that. So, so look into that also. I mean, we're, as Commissioner Dorban said, and as you saw in one of our previous petitioners here today, landscaping is important to us. And I realize that this is a needed commodity for not only this community as your attorney, finally told us that it was probably pretty obvious to all of us here on the board, that it is used in communities all over, and I know you do have other areas, and it's got to be close to where the work is being done, I understand that. So, anything to beautify that, and to make it at least so you can cover it, would be very, very helpful.
Okay. Understood.
As we go through this process. Great, thank you. Is there anything else? Anything else that you,
Yes, I
to give
have.
them direction as to what we're looking for, Commissioner
I do
Dorvan?
have a couple of questions, actually. Were the hours always 6 to 6? Somehow I don't remember
For our
that.
existing plant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they were? Okay. For some reason, I had it in my head that the hours were 7 to 6, but, okay. The other thing I had, I guess, is for staff. Regarding the text amendment, will you be working that out so that, we can take a look at it, how it's written, and I
Yes.
assume you'll be,
We'll be working with the petitioner on that.
good, thank you. Okay, that's all I had.
Commissioner Johnson?
On the increased efficiency, your information indicates you're doubling efficiency. Will you still need the 6 to 6 hours then?
Yes.
You're increasing efficiency,
It's still a
you're
matter of
increasing
when,
storage.
it's still a matter when the asphalt's being delivered through road construction projects.
Okay.
Well, okay, so, and I was just going to bring that up because potential benefits to the community. Number 3, reduce plant operation time. That's what it says right there.
What that means is, what we'll do with these additional 4 silos is fill them up in the morning. So that'd be 1,200 tons of asphalt. And once that's done, depending on how quickly that asphalt goes down, we would shut off the plant. Currently, because we only have 400 tons available at this time and we need to make a lot of asphalt delivered straight into the truck before it goes to silos, we're constantly running at our current plant. So if it takes us, we get all the asphalt produced in a couple hours, that fills that up, we could shut down for a couple hours until it's delivered into the trucks and we need to fill back up to continue the rest of the day. So it's a matter of operating during the day of how much is running.
How does that translate to a benefit to the community?
It's less energy being used. It's all the environmental impacts is being less because we're not operating. The noise that will meet the village standards will also be decreased.
Which probably
And I could get better answers with all the experts.
probably want that, but you'll probably reduce operations, but you'll be increasing the amount of time you use the recycler. So to me, that's a tough one to quantify. But if you can quantify that, that'd be great. And really, we want to know the hours, how often that recycler is going to be used. And you said you're going to bring some experts on noise studies.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
okay, right. Okay, good. Any other questions? Any other comments for the petitioner, or something that, and that's why they're here, is for you to have them come back with some information so they're prepared, so when they come for the public hearing, whenever that may be, they're prepared, and so they don't have to come back and say, well, I need to find out. So
I just want to make sure that anybody who lives around there or businesses around there
Well,
are
it's-
notified. That's
a public hearing.
I want them notified.
Right, that's standard operating
Yeah,
procedure.
that's all.
Right. But in the next couple of weeks, if you have questions, comments, please direct them to Brooke, and she'll get them to the petitioner. Are you waving goodbye? Yes, sir.
I have one. With an asphalt plant, obviously you've got aggregates and dust. I'd be concerned about stormwater quality, so that's something I'd like you guys to address as well.
Most definitely, we will.
Anything else? Brooke, you want to read off every?
1 second, please.
Sure.
The trees along Wheeling Road should be greater than 3-inch caliper to provide greater screening immediately. Provide neighborhood meeting minutes. Provide screening on the east side. Provide a truck stacking plan. Consider closing one access drive to achieve more green space. Address air quality, sediment issues, storm water quality, and noise issues. Address silo height and placement. Address access to the ComEd right-of-way. Property beautification, screening is encouraged, and clarify timing of operations.
Just on, when you talked about the, was that my second to the last thing?
Beautification, screening,
Yes, on the east side of the property. Make sure that that's specific.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there was also the concern of the height of the concrete and
Yes.
used asphalt piles.
Right.
I don't know how they should address that.
And then also that they need a variation for the fences, too.
I think I heard that one.
Did I hear that?
no.
That was me saying that again.
I'm having editing issues.
Sorry.
You don't need a formal motion, do you?
No, no, I was just waiting for you to print that out so Mr. Winter can take it with him.
Do you want consensus on proceeding forward? What do you usually do for concept?
No, I don't think we need that, no. Mr. Winter, we're just waiting for something to print out, we'll give you, and then you're free to go. It used to be on a box or something. Got rid of that too. Did they actually throw it away or something? There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Pardon? Okay. Brooke wants 5. Let's take a 5-minute break. Thank you. Calling docket number 2016-15, Dundee Commons, 430 West Dundee Road, concept review of a PUD for retail use in the MXT mixed-use transit-oriented mixed-use district. That's redundant. I just thought about that. Ms. Jones?
I would invite the
Petitioners?
petitioners to come forward.
If you could both state your names, business addresses, sir? Whoever's speaking also.
Good evening, everyone. We're here to give a presentation on a concept review for Dundee Commons. And Dundee Commons was up before this board, I believe, and no, they didn't. I don't think they got to you guys. They got to the board. And since then, a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have changed. And we feel that we're bringing into the Village of Wheeling a good concept, a needed element, and I'm hoping that we can defer some of the unpleasantries because of how fast we're moving and changes in engineering and so on and so forth. But I will assure you that we will be ready when we go to public hearing, and that we will be presenting all the aspects of this particular project. Tonight we're here to discuss the concept review, and we were talking about a phase one. Phase one is a 6,382 square foot building. Phase two will be another retail building of 9,000 square feet. Phase one, and that's what we're talking about this evening, and the reason for this, and it's very simple. The economic conditions and the amount of people that are interested in coming to Wheeling are very variable. And we're not building a spec building. We're not building a box and putting some signs on it and waiting for somebody to come here. The first building in phase one, the 6,000 square foot building, has its first tenant, and we will be bringing in a jeweler, and it will be both not only a retail level, but it will also be at the manufacturing level. And they will be located in the first phase building. It's funny that we should have a name of a jeweler on that particular building, but it's not K. In this particular site, and you got in your packet, you've got a lot of different engineering and site plans and so on and so forth. And let me explain to you why that happened. As we were in the process of developing and looking at this site, we were talking to staff, we were talking to the Village of Wheeling relative to what we could do with comp storage because it's in the floodway, floodplain, so on and so forth, off-site storage, that kind of thing. And in that conversation, we were told that we were allowed to use some of the comp storage off-site in Heritage Park, and our way of getting there would be through a 6-foot pipe that is going through town center. And that particular pipe would not be in place probably for a year. And we were trying to get this project going. So one of the very first things that you see in your packet is a site plan showing the building being in a different spot. It shows us what's comp storage on that particular site in lieu of parking, and that was going to be a temporary storage to be used by us as we continued with our project. As we started to develop the engineering on that site, we came to the conclusion that it was possible for us to use a different way to get into Heritage Park. And our engineers, Hager Engineering, and Mr. Anderson here, came up with the idea of using Buffalo Creek, the Wheeling Drainage Ditch, to get into Heritage Park. They did a great job. We feel that we can use the drainage ditch and be within all compliances with all the different agencies that are involved, including the Village of Wheeling and NRWD and so on and so forth. So actually with this, it's a twofold situation. We hope that it works out. And if there are any engineering questions that you would like to ask of Mr. Anderson, he is here this evening, and he'll be more than happy to discuss them.
Thank you.
That being said, it gave us an opportunity to take that land that was going to be used for temporary storage and to move the building that was to the further east end of the property and move it forward towards Northgate Parkway. And that's the 9,000 square foot building. So what we have here this evening is we have the plans, okay, before you, the preliminary PUD plans. And we have an ingress, egress both on Dundee, and we have it also on Northgate Parkway. We will be having a restaurant in the first Phase 1 building, which faces Dundee Road, and it will have a drive-through facility. And as you can see from the configuration that's before you this evening, that is a planned ingress, egress both, and we were able to move the road going out to Northgate Parkway because of the floodplain and the floodway being to the north of us. So we've got it engineered so that it's a complete circle of drive-through. One suggestion was given to us that we make it a three type, 2 out, 1 in, right turn, left turn type situation going out both on the Northgate. I'm sorry? On Dundee Road, that's correct. So, we're looking to on the Phase 1 building with their special use restaurant, the restaurant will be in the 2,290 square feet. Unit B is 1,163 square feet. Unit C is 163. And the last unit is 1,462. And we will provide the necessary parking to comply with it.
Bill, one of the, before you go further,
I'm sorry, but I'm
before you go further, at I know, the direction from the village on Monday night was come to us with a completed plan for the whole piece of property. You keep on mentioning Phase 1, Phase 2. And I watched the meeting and I heard quite clearly that don't come to the Plan Commission and then on to the village board with phases, because there are issues with traffic flow, parking, comp storage, that needs to be addressed as a whole instead of just one, just phase one or phase two. You're talking here about a phase one, a 6,000 square foot building, and I'm sorry, is it a 2,000 square foot building and then a 9,000 square foot building? Those need to be brought all together where they're going to be positioned on the piece of property instead of coming to us in phases. That's what I heard, and that's what I heard from the board, from the village on Monday night. And is
Okay.
that your intention to do that? Because if it's not, we could probably stop, not stop the conversation, you can talk about it, but please understand that that's what we're going to want to see when you come back to us. The whole thing, the whole piece of property developed, and where the buildings are going to be, all of that, all in one. Now, how they're built, I guess, is when they're built, is that?
They don't have to be built immediately, but there needs to be a long-term plan for this site that's comprehensive in addressing stormwater management, traffic flow, parking.
Right. Because, you talked about in and out, two out left and right, and then one in. I'm not even certain that the state would allow that. I don't know, but those types of things probably need to address too. And those are probably impacted by where, the placement of the buildings, how they're going to be on this piece of property. I mean, we can talk about what potentially will be in here, what type of, capacity and what type of stores you're going to have. But if we don't have the total package, it's not going to move far. It's not going to move at all.
Okay. You have a site plan before you this evening that has both buildings on it?
Which is the...
You also have that in your packet?
Which plan do you want me to display?
I want you to display okay, let's...
That one's good. That one's good.
That's fine.
That slide is good.
That's fine. You also have another one that shows the same thing, a little different.
And just for clarification, Bill, that's not in this right here?
That's in your packet.
I don't remember. I saw a different view of it. Okay, you're right, but I saw a different, I was looking at a different view.
That's why it was done that
That's
way,
fine.
because I saw the packet this afternoon, and
Okay, all right,
we
fine.
had these printed up.
Okay, that's cool. So this one is, okay, so we're talking to this one, right here. So if you want to explain what is...
Everything that you have in the packet that we brought, the 11 by 17s, is in your packet.
Right.
Okay, and I'm trying to diffuse the confusion, and we do have what you are asking for. We have a site plan that shows the buildings. We have the site plan that shows the elevations, and I may be wrong, but...
Okay, well, yeah, it just wasn't consistent, when, and I'm looking at this, and you mentioned phase one, phase two.
Okay.
And maybe if we just take those...
Building one, building two better?
Yes, yeah, that'd probably be better, because as soon as you said phase one, phase two, I interpreted that as being contrary to what was conveyed by the village on Monday night. So, thank you for that. So that makes sense. So
So
this,
for the record, you're proposing 2 buildings on the site?
That is correct.
Thank you.
At the same time,
Beg pardon?
at the same time. I mean, you're going to do them together
When you
They're
say
gonna be
we're going to,
separate
you mean build them together?
They're going to be separate buildings, I understand that.
Correct.
But are they going to be built at the same time?
They're going to, the buildings will be built because of the specialty type services that were required, that these are not spec buildings.
That will be phased in, is what you're saying.
Pardon me?
That will be phased in. The actual building of them could be phased in depending upon what.
The building that you see that has the elevations on now is going to be built.
See, I also watched that meeting, and I guess I came away with a different understanding.
Right, okay.
I came away with the understanding that they wanted the whole project done at the same time. Did
So
I
what
misinterpret?
The board needs, what the village needs to understand is that the project is engineered at the same time.
That's a good word to use.
That's how I understood it.
That's what I understood as well.
And so, and then you have the approval to build the two buildings. However, you do not necessarily have to build them at the same exact time.
Correct.
But you may if you choose to, because the market is there.
Right,
Correct. Correct.
excellent. Now,
Absolutely.
Engineered is a great.
We
is a
are
great
building
term.
two buildings, period.
Is a great term, is a
Okay.
great term.
They may not be built simultaneously, depending on market conditions and the type of a tenant that we get for it, okay? It's not going to change drastically in appearance. It might be that we have to supply some different amenities to it, okay?
So, you mentioned the plan that's on the screen right now. When you were talking about it the other night, you said you moved it a little bit further to the west?
The building?
Yes.
The second building?
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. The second building and back you moved, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yes.
all right.
The first building is in place and has always been there.
So this plan that you have up here is what will be engineered, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I shouldn't, I'm sorry, Bill, I interrupted you. Did you have more that you wanted to say?
Beg pardon?
I interrupted you. Do you have more that you wanted to describe before we let the Plan Commission go at it? I interrupted you, I apologize.
Not really. You have the elevations and the screening and so on and so forth. You have some landscaping plans that are in the packet, and those are for the entire site.
We only have a landscape plan and a lighting plan for the first building.
I think the direction that we got on Monday night, we wanted to build this building right away. So this is what we concentrated on, getting complete engineering, getting complete construction documents on. And building two is not at that level of detail. And the direction that we got was you needed the engineering, the site needed to be at that level of detail. And the architecture as well, it will be very similar, and that is what we will do.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
what we will do.
Great, good, excellent.
Right.
Great.
And also for the record, when we're talking about engineering plans, we need existing conditions, stormwater,
Exactly.
stormwater calculations, utilities, paving, all those engineering
So
sheets.
it'll be, both buildings will be combined
Fantastic.
on the next
Good.
presentation.
Anything else?
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make sure that,
Oh, I'm fine. You can start answering questions.
great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Isaku.
Thank you. One of the questions the board asked, and I was curious about as well, was the access from Dundee and then going through to Northgate Parkway. It looks like that's what we're seeing here. Is it going to be, is that what that is? So the arrows on the it's number 4. Brooke, I don't know if you can go back to 4. Yeah, I'm just, if someone could explain to me how that, the connection is going to be made in Northgate Parkway, is it going to go, the arrows end there, so I'm not sure if that means it's continuous, or is that roadway there? I'm just not sure what I'm looking at.
You're looking at the egress to Northgate Parkway?
Yeah.
Right now, we just plan on one right there in the middle, and that's because we were trying to build building number 1 first.
Okay.
But there's some further talk that may happen about moving that. So this is what we're talking about tonight, but it's still a little fluid.
Okay.
And when we have the complete engineering, we'll present the whole packet and decide exactly where that road's going to be.
Okay.
Were you asking to clarify that the entrance on Northgate Parkway is going to both be ingress and egress because there's no arrows on the?
That's what I
Yeah,
would,
well,
That's just that
we'll have that. We'll have
Okay.
the ingress egress there. Yeah, we'll have that shown.
Got it, thank you.
And remember, these are conceptual drawings. You know, what Bill has indicated is that, Mr. Hein has indicated, that the building that goes east and west here, that is what, you know, when it's completely engineered, that's going to be built first, so that's more detail there. So anything north of there is still conceptual. So, you know, just take that into consideration as you're looking at drawings.
Got it.
Okay, because when they come back to us, now we're all on the same page, is that this whole piece of property will be engineered wherever that egress, wherever that will go, you know, will be there, and it will be ingress, egress, so.
Okay. Understood. Jumping to something different, discussions about letters of intent and I guess, you know, that vendors coming in or that kind of thing. So you mentioned that there's a jeweler coming in, or is that something that you, what's the process like? You'd also mentioned, you know, you don't want to build a spec building, and that makes sense. But one of the concerns I have is the type of company or the type of business that'll be there in the future. So can you explain to me what that process is like, how that goes? I'm just curious the way the process works.
You know, when we started the process and they started to build the development to the north on Northgate Parkway, the crossings, and when they got approval on the town center and everything, it really sparked a lot of interest in the whole general area. We're not here to be a destination center. We're here to develop a retail area as a convenience center to all these people that are there and some of the people that will be coming in the future. And those are the types of things that we're getting interest from people that are looking to provide different types of services. We've had them anywhere from nursing school type operations to major restaurants that don't have drive-through facilities in the village of Wheeling and would like to have a drive-through service in the village of Wheeling. We've had a group from down in Georgia looking at coming this way, and their retail people are looking for sites. And it has sparked some interest, and it predicated on a special use type building like that. For instance, if somebody came in and wanted to put in a, for lack of a better, kinder care, okay, that's a special use. Mm-hmm. Is it needed in the area, you know, with all the different homes we're going to have here and the new rooftops and so forth, okay? It must be, they're looking, okay? I'm not talking about kinder care, but they are looking, okay? So those kind of things are specialty type buildings. and they require a special build-out, and so on and so forth. So we're looking at that, and we are actually marketing ourselves that way, okay?
Okay. Thank you for indulging me. That's it for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. One of the other things I brought up at the board meeting was the flow across the front of the buildings. If you came in off of Dundee and you drove west in the parking area and you reach a dead end at the end of the
That was a valid point, and I'll be discussing that with Mark about how we can alleviate that. Maybe we can move the building back a little bit and create another lane so that that's taken care of. So we will be addressing that.
Okay. From this conceptual plan, to me, it looks like you're kind of short on parking. I mean, staff would have to look at that, but for 4 stores, 26 spots doesn't sound like a lot.
Again, I think we misread the ordinance and we used the wrong multiplier, but there's a lot of room on the site and we could easily make the parking requirements. It's not that difficult of a redo.
Okay. I guess one of my biggest concerns is, do we need another strip mall? I mean, that's what it is. I still drive around town the other night and came up with more than 35 empty storefronts in this town. Now, some of them are in a shopping center that may be redeveloped into something else. And that didn't include Garden Fresh over on Hinch Road that we lost virtually the whole shopping center. What's going to drive this one? What's going to make people want to stay here?
In this center,
Yeah.
it's not a destination center, it's a neighborhood type center where it's going to be provided.
I mean the retailers, what's going to make them want to be here? Because there's plenty of other places in town and they're not moving in.
Well, the retailers are looking to have a newer type building. There hasn't been a new center built in Wheeling for a while. And as you come down Dundee Road and head west, in talking to some of the larger retailers, they know where they're going in Wheeling and where they want to be depending on the type of service that they provide. And a good example was that when I was working with AutoZone for a piece of property here in Wheeling, and I showed them some pieces on Milwaukee Avenue and so on and so forth, and they said, no, we want to be on the west side of town. And evidently in the automotive industry, it was what everybody wanted to be because you have 2 auto parts stores on the west side of town. Market conditions are based on the needs of the people and where the people are for that particular service. And that's where they try to put these things. And that's what's going to be appealing to us. Town center is going to be a big, big boost for us. No question about it. And it's going to help. Having town center is a destination center. And it will continue to be a destination center because of your retail and what you have over there and the amenities with the theater and so on and so forth. So this type of center is designed to be more of a convenience center for the people that live over in the crossings that are going to be on the areas here being developed across the street and from town center. So we got to make there's only 3 reasons to do something like this: a reason to come, a reason to stay, and a reason to come back. And if we can fill all 3 of those, we got it.
All right. Personally, I don't know what happened with your review with the village board on the last one, but I kind of like the idea of having a major restaurant on the corner, like the blue one you had. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sianis.
I think there've been some good questions so far. One thing that comes to mind for me is I used to live out in Lake Zurich, and they developed Deer Park out there, and you've got what would be the west side of Rand, I believe, and the east side of Rand. It sort of meanders there, so. And it seems that one side doesn't seem to do as well as the other. And I don't know I don't understand the science quite like you do. But I would be concerned that something like that may happen, you know, when Town Center develops, that all of a sudden they have convenience along the front side of their property, and there's convenience across the street where you're proposing a development, and that there's going to be some issues there with who wins that battle. That would be one of my concerns. I don't know if you could speak to that.
You're going to see the conditions of the marketing of Wheeling change with Town Center. You're going to see different and more national type businesses coming back to Dundee Road. The properties all along Dundee Road they're actually in a renaissance period. And we have to provide them the necessary residential to go along with it and the commercial. What we're lacking right now, and I'm hoping that we can help fill that later on, is a rural home type concept in the general area. We've got some very large sites on Dundee Road that have been vacant for a long time. But I think you're going to see those get packed in pretty darn good, and you're going to get a lot more interest after Town Center is built.
So you don't think you're going to compete with the Town Center then? That's not going to be an issue?
Good.
Well, all the residential that's going to be infilled on the parcels immediately to the west will economically help this parcel over here. I mean, both sides of Dundee Road will have options to go to and businesses to go to. They're not all just going to flock to Town Center.
One other concern I had that deals with this is that, you know, Dundee and Northgate back up because of the railroad crossing there, and for people who want to get north or possibly west faster, your site's going to become a cut through. I don't know if there's any way we can design as part of your process to help alleviate some of that. I know some of that's on the village in enforcement, but that's a concern I have as well. It looks pretty easy right now to just make a right turn and you're out to Northgate Parkway. So that would be a concern that I have that you should take a look at.
Well, that's a village issue, and you know, it can be something that it can be a good thing, and it's just like with the crossings over there, taking them and putting their, they didn't put any cuts onto Northgate, they came out on 12th Street and went to Strong. So it makes a difference.
That's a good point. But I thought, and I could be wrong, but I thought IDOT at one time was thinking about putting a right turn lane at Northgate. I could be wrong, or no, that's just at 83 they're doing that, right?
There is a right turn lane at Northgate. Right.
Yeah, they're adding the right turn lane at 83.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, but for some reason I thought I had read somewhere, not something from the village, but I thought that I had read something that they were planning on to alleviate some of that traffic to put a right turn lane in there. Which, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that's a possibility too.
Yeah, and the other thing I think, I drive Northgate Parkway when I come home from work, and people fly down the center median and, you know, this might be another way to bypass sitting, trying to turn right onto Dundee Road. We'll just cut through your subdivision, or your center here, and then we'll work our way onto Dundee Road that way, instead of waiting in line. So I think there's some traffic concerns with the site plan that you may want to take a look at. I don't think I have anything else. That's my main concerns.
Commissioner Dorbin.
Thank you. I guess my only questions is you talked about you already have a jeweler that's willing to go into that space, one of the spaces, right?
Correct.
And then you said that, do you have any other letters of intent? Is there anybody that, I mean, you probably can't talk about who they are, but do you have any letters of intent?
Yes, we
to take
do.
up some? Okay, how many letters of intent?
We have one other one.
One other one.
They're both in the 6,000 square foot building.
Okay, so we do have a jeweler and then one other.
Yes.
One other one. Okay. And do you have also an existing list of potential tenants?
We have a very large list of potential tenants that we're working on, and they're in different phases of being approached by us. We have one person in the office that's all she does. And we are contacting people in all different facets of the business. And we seem to be getting a good response from, believe it or not, people that don't have businesses in the Midwest. They are coming from they're looking from the East Coast, they're coming from the South, they're coming from the West. And these are major franchise people that are looking to develop.
Are you also looking for someone in the restaurant business to come in there?
We have one site there for the restaurant, yes, and we are talking to somebody, and we're very close to an LOI on them. And I can't mention their name, but they are a national concern.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Zangaro.
Thank you. The first question I will hit at is the drive-through lane. Is that, can you fit two cars side by, can two cars go through there so people could actually drive around? Or is it just a one-car drive-through? I mean, it looks big enough to be two.
Mike Anderson with Hager Engineering. Right now, it is shown at 16 feet wide.
Okay.
And so it's, you know, generally a drive-through, a single lane is about 12 feet wide.
Mhm.
You can kind of have a bailout lane here. But we can look at that with the overall, you know, parking and traffic flow considerations.
Okay. Question, getting back to these letters of intent. If this process goes quickly, when would you think about starting this?
What would be what? I'm sorry.
Thinking of breaking ground to start this? Start building the building?
Start building as quickly as possible.
Well, I like the letter of intent because.
We're looking at sometime in the fall.
Okay, because I keep hearing about town center and I see nothing yet, so. Other things about the site is, you know, you come to the site, you have, I'm guessing that's behind the building, you're gonna probably have dumpsters and all that stuff, then you got a drive-through lane, then you got another drive-through going to Northgate Parkway. Is there a way to study on the site of maybe doing a centralized trash enclosure so we can eliminate some of that asphalt back there and maybe bring the drive-through closer to the building? It's just something to look at, you know. I mean, people could carry their trash, because otherwise you're gonna have a garbage truck driving back there. I have a feeling employees are gonna park back there. And then the question comes, do you put a fence around there? So there's questions. I was just wondering, a suggestion is maybe studying the site to have a centralized trash enclosure where they all could go to one spot.
It's a very small building, And the trash needs are not that significant for that 6,000 square foot building, so they can be accommodated with the trash enclosure that we have right next to the restaurant portion, and all the service doors are right there. There will be no parking, that's strictly a service bay. At one time, we had talked about trying to combine it. We just kept it separate. No one will be allowed to park there, and there'll be a separate bay that separates the drive-through. And we will be creating a landscape screen through the drive-through.
Okay.
So it'll be a very pleasant experience.
Well-
And there'll be a nice fence around that dumpster.
My guess, or what I was getting at then, if there was a central location, as you did Building 2, they would have used that central location also. Otherwise, you're going to have another drive with another, you know,
Well,
because it's not shown here, even though.
Right, no, it depends on who ends up building 2 and how that gets developed on the market.
So and I think that's one of the things of
Right.
developing this thing as a whole.
But to me, right, because of the drive-through requirement of this thing, I don't think it would make sense to try to get a separate trash enclosure, because then you're cutting across, you're bringing your garbage across the drive-through or going around. So they should have their own trash enclosure, and this building should have its own trash enclosure in this scheme.
I understand. I'm just getting to it for the
Right.
future, because then maybe you can extend that drive-through to have a cut around, so there isn't a dead end in the parking lot. So that's,
I got you.
so that's what I was trying to get at.
Got it.
And then I would personally like to see the entrance on Northgate Parkway be at the northern side of it.
That's one of the things we're hemming and hawing about.
Yeah, so more of a ring around the whole property, because then you've got a good flow then going through.
And if you did a ring around that back, if you continue it all the way back, you might be able to get employee parking back there, so all employees could park back there, and then
Okay. Got it.
because and one thing, especially with parking, I really hope I don't see, like we have at the West End, all these people having parking only, parking only, parking only. I hate that. So just work on the parking also. I think those are really my suggestions. I see you have is there a gazebo on this? Is there a plan? I see some kind of,
At one time, we were trying to get an amenity going on that side, but the future development plan calls for scooting some of those row homes this way, so that nixed that idea.
okay. But yeah, I think those were just my main concerns.
Okay.
Just study them, because I know they talked about developing the whole thing as a whole,
Right.
not thinking of it as phase 1, phase 2, think of it as building 1, building 2, so as it's
Got it.
going together. So that's really what I have.
Thank you. And one of the other items that, and I think, Mr. Heine, you talked about it the other night, was access to this piece of property from the, what would that be, the northeast corner, Northgate and Dundee, access through what we now have as, that planting area and everything. So if you could work with staff to ensure we do have access to that, walking access to the piece of property that you're developing. Okay.
Yeah, that's easy. That's pretty easy.
That could be part of our little
It's just one
landscape thing
pathway
too.
to the gazebo, the little park on the corner.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right there. So, it's funny because at the Walgreens on the corner of Dundee and Schoenbeck, people walk from my subdivision, the hill over there, they walk over there all the time, but they walk right through the landscaping. And there's a sidewalk just to the south, but if we would have thought about it when we built that, if they would have just had a walkway right there and landscaping around it, it would have looked much better. Because now they just trample down on stuff, and so just something like that would be good.
Okay.
This, it seems like a good plan, but when you come before us, you've been through this drill. We need, examples of the materials, what the buildings are going to be, comprised of, and speaking of that, because the building that you're proposing to the north will be facing the building along Dundee, give consideration to that back of that building as to how it's going to look, okay? Because we have situations now where they just, sometimes they might not look that great, so just give extra consideration. I've seen the plans, but...
If you look at Exhibit 7, you'll see the elevation in the back. That's what you're going to see from the center. So a lot of that building will have a lot of architectural features. It will not be a plain blank wall.
Okay, and, that's, I see that, but it's hard, it's, just want to ensure, somehow fade in the doors or something so that.
But we could, one of the things we might, maybe just put some awnings so it looks more like.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I got it.
Something, something that will look nice and, take into consideration what,
What the experience is going to be.
what the experience is going to be, the trash enclosures, what they're going to look like, make them fade into the buildings too, so you don't, when you see them, you really don't see them.
Right, they're going to have the exact same nice decorative block that wraps around and screens it.
Just things like that we, when we take into consideration, because you're also going to have a drive-through there. And of course, I assume you're going to be having a traffic study, you're going to do, stacking, you're going to have a drive-through, what the stacking plans are going to be, just a comprehensive plan. And I would definitely avoid the word phase, because you're engineering the whole thing, okay? How you phase in the building is separate and distinct as to how you're going to be engineering
So
it.
that was just.
Right, because I think that, it confused us. I think the village board was confused too, and, we just want to make this successful. And, obviously, I'm going to be stating the obvious. You've got an engineering firm here, the comp storage, that's all reserved, egress, ingress, with IDOT, all the plans detailed, lighting, landscaping, where irrigation is going to be on the plans. We talked about that with the petitioner today. And, parking, it sounds like you don't need variations for parking, but you never know once you get down to what you're doing here. Before you come to the preliminary PUD, I think, can you add anything, Brooke?
I would just say, look at the memo that we sent you, dated June 7th. Make sure you're meeting all of those points.
Did you get that? You got that, Ms.
Yeah,
Ryan?
we have it.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're providing a list of zoning variations
Right.
if they're necessary. You're providing labels, dimensions, everything is properly scaled.
Right.
Everything is fully consistent among all plans, written statements, images. There shouldn't be a rogue gazebo if it's not supposed to be there, everything.
Rogue gazebo.
Yes, there should be no confusion, everything consistent. I think that's the most important thing here.
Will we require a traffic study as well?
Yes, I see that. You'd say, yeah. Lighting plans, photometrics, landscaping for all the buildings, landscaping for the total property, all those wonderful things. I came into the meeting thinking that maybe we could workshop this again, but I think you've made it clear, you've cleared up what you're trying to do here. So if once you get ready for the preliminary PUD, I think you've got the direction. You explained this very succinctly tonight. Once we got past the word phase, Once we got past that word, and Brooke brought up, we're engineering the whole piece of property, then I think that cleared up a lot of stuff for all of us here. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments? Brooke, did you add some things?
I did. I listened to what you were saying. Let me know if I missed something. Number one, the plan should be fully developed, or let me write engineered, for both retail buildings and shall include cohesive engineering, traffic flow, lighting, landscaping, and architecture. Consider site design that prevents cut-through traffic. Consider a centralized trash enclosure. Provide pedestrian access to the village-owned plaza on the corner, and design the buildings to be viewed from multiple sides.
I think so, yeah. Anything else? Does anybody else have any questions, comments, or suggestions to the petitioners before they leave us? And as I indicated before, in the last petitioner was here, if you have some comments, some questions, or something that you may have seen after this, please get them to Brooke, and she'll get them to Mr. Hine and engineering firm, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Anything else? Nope. Mallory, anything to add? Nope. Great. We'll have something for you. We printed out some of those comments, Mr. Hine, and then onward and upward, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for the input. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's for you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes, May 26th, including findings of docket number 2016-
Motion?
Second.
Perfect timing. A motion was made.
By Siri.
Yeah, a motion was made by Siri, seconded by Commissioner Sacco. Who made the motion? Did you make the motion?
I made the motion.
Commissioner Sacco made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Zangara. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Other business. Brooke?
I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing.
You can bring it up, that's okay.
No, I was just going to comment on how many vacant storefronts we have,
Very valid point.
My staff and I went out on a ride.
You have the stamp.
And we came up with 40. Now, some were in the one shopping center that came to us a while ago for redevelopment for townhomes. That was a big one. They had 12 empties in there. And then Garden Fresh is all but gone. And even, what's it, North Star strip mall off Milwaukee has a couple empties. And that was going to be a high-end strip mall, as I recall.
Yes, it's a good point. It's a
So
good point.
I think something better could be done, but that's not the plans before us. That's all.
Commissioner Sacco?
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Zangara?
I just, to inquire, just maybe next time,
Minds want to know?
do we have any updates on town center? Are they moving in any direction?
They're still working. I believe they're still working with the Park District to get approval for the easements. And that hopefully should be done in the next month.
Okay.
That is my loose understanding.
Good enough for me for now.
Okay.
Commissioner Dorban?
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Sianis?
Yep, nothing for me.
Okay, I just have one comment. This is probably an enforcement, and I should probably call the number, but since I'm on TV and our PC groupies that watch us, the shopping center where Wheeling Donuts is at,
Gaslight?
Gaslight, thank you. Their parking lot is in terrible shape. Potholes all over the place. Striping is, it's just terrible. Just in terrible, terrible shape.
Our property maintenance inspectors are working with them right now.
Oh, great. Okay, that's all I needed to hear. That's perfect. That is perfect. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.